Hi, Zafarki. Zafarkle. Welcome. Hi, Doc. Hi, Sebastian. Wow, lots of new people coming in for the last day. Nice. Nice, nice. Hi, Kevin. Welcome. Welcome, welcome. How is everybody today? How was everybody's holiday? Hi, DODWA. Welcome. So I'll just wait a little bit, see if anybody else comes in. It's the last day, May 31st. And I'm done today. Today is my very last day. For those of you that are here for the first time, my name is Marisol, and I have late stage Lyme disease. And holidays so far so good. That's good. Awesome. Awesome, awesome. I have late stage Lyme disease, and I've been doing a scope a day for the month of May, which also happens to be Lyme Awareness Month. So today is actually my very last day doing a Lyme related Periscope. So I made it. I did one every single day for the month of May, and it's been very, very hard because I have some severe neurological issues related to my Lyme disease. So, it made it, it was challenging, but I did it. Thank you so much, E-Man. Today is the last day, and what I wanted to talk about was what I've learned from my illness. Thank you for the hearts. Sometimes it's really hard. Some of you guys may have seen me yesterday. Yesterday was a really difficult one. I talked about my treatment story, and it was just really tough. I even deleted it because it was just so hard for me to get through it. And this illness can be very, very challenging, as well as other chronic illnesses like lupus, multiple sclerosis, things like that. It was challenging to talk about it, but there are also other things, more positive things that come with having a chronic illness. And sometimes it's very hard to see those things when you're, in the middle of this disease. But today, since it's the very last day that I'm going to be periscoping about this illness, I wanted to talk about some of the things that, I've learned from being sick. I've been totally disabled for about 5 years. So I'm not working. I'm basically stuck at home. I'm mostly homebound. I can still drive, but I'm here most of the time because I can't really go anywhere or inside a store or to the market or anything like that. I have to have assistance doing a lot of things. But, there are positive aspects to being sick, and sometimes we have to dig and look for those. One of the things that I've learned is to be patient. I'm not going to get things right away. Things are not going to happen for me immediately, and sometimes I have to wait and be patient and, just sort of soothe myself in a way instead of looking for comfort from an outside source. So it just takes a lot of patience and learning to make the best of my time, with something else. Hi, Ezra. Welcome. So I've learned to be very, very patient. And hi, Jay Marshall. Welcome. And to just sort of occupy my time with other things that are valuable and that are going to enrich my life as well. One of the biggest things that I've learned is to be happy in spite of the circumstances. And I can't say that I'm completely... obviously, having a chronic illness is not a happy occasion. I'm not thrilled to be sick. I don't think anybody is thrilled to be, sick every day. But I look around and I see other people around me that are miserable. They're constantly complaining about work, complaining about their spouses or, their partners. And they're perfectly healthy. They have jobs, they have kids, they have full lives. They can, go to the market, they can buy their own food, they can buy their own clothes, and they are extremely unhappy people. And that really has taught me that happiness is not, what you have or how able you are. it's basically a state of mind, and I'm surrounded by that every day here at home, having to deal with people that are chronically unhappy and chronically angry, and they have their entire lives, they have, they're able to do whatever it is that they want to do, and they're still extremely unhappy. And I was one of those people. I years ago, you never would recognize, who I was. You would not know that it was the same person, because I was just mean and angry and unhappy, and I was basically still okay. I could still do things for myself. I could go out. I could have a good time. I could, eat whatever I wanted. I could do 100 times more things than I can do now. But I was just a very angry, unhappy person. And over the years, lots of different things. Being married to someone that had a mental illness, then being diagnosed with my own illness, has taught me that, it's taught me to be grateful, but also that happiness does not come from an outside source. It comes from within. And, I've had to find joy in small things. I can no longer watch TV. I can't go to the movies, which I used to love doing. I can't, there's so many things that I can no longer do. I can't use a computer. And now it's like, well, I have to find joy in other things. I've gone back to reading, which I used to love reading when I was a kid, and I just stopped because my interest changed to other things. And now I'm back to reading and rediscovering. I have a severe form of light sensitivity. There's 2 other scopes on here that explain my light sensitivity in detail, and they're really, really good. I really like them. That's why I saved them. So I definitely recommend watching those after my broadcast. They're very, very detailed, and they tell you exactly why I'm sensitive to certain types of light. So there are so many things that I can't do, but I've learned, to embrace the things that I can do, and to do those things and enjoy those things. And I've gone back to reading, and I remember thinking, wow, I stopped doing this, and I enjoy it so much. And also learning, I've gone back to learning things and learning new skills and learning how to cope with this illness and sharing, the things that I've learned. And that was something that, that I rediscovered, that really brought back some purpose into my life. So, I've noticed that a lot. Hi, Heaven, welcome. I've noticed that a lot looking around at other people that are just so unhappy. Hi, Xylo, welcome. And thinking, why are these people unhappy? Why are they so upset when they can do everything, when they're completely able-bodied and can function, like a normal human being? And that's because happiness has nothing to do with, your body or the things you have, or, it's just a state of mind. I've also learned to be grateful, for the things I can still do. Hi, Xylo, how are you? I've seen other people on here, I don't know if you guys follow Hurricane in Heels. Her name is Kelly McRae, and she has lupus. And there are days when she says she's just in bed all day long. And, I've been fortunate enough that I don't have the severe fatigue or body pain that keeps me in bed. But I see other people that have it. Yes, yeah, there's a lot of people that have lupus. It was actually Lupus Awareness Month as well this month. And I see that and I think to myself, you know what, I should be grateful. I'm not, happy that she's sick like that, but, I should be grateful that I'm not bedridden. I'm okay, Xylo. I'm okay. Yesterday I had kind of a weird day. I did a scope yesterday and I kind of got a little emotional, so I deleted it, but some people did get to see it. So, I've learned to be grateful for that, and to count my blessings. I can still drive. Some people with Lyme disease can no longer drive. So I'm lucky that I can at least drive myself, to go get gas, or to, to the beach or something. Whereas other people, can't even get in their car. they can't even start their car. It's just too much for them. Another really huge thing, and this is something that a lot of sick people do not, I think sometimes they never discover this, or they never learn this particular thing, is to have compassion for yourself. A lot of times people that are sick beat themselves up and they say, how could you be sick? How could you be so useless? How could you be so, get out of bed? You're not really that sick. And when I first got diagnosed, I definitely did that a lot. I definitely told myself, you're not that sick. You're not that incapacitated. You're a fraud. And the harder I pushed myself, the harder I fell, because I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it anymore. And, I was raised to believe, yes, you can do it, and you're a liar, and you're just making this up. And I finally got to a point where, it brought me to my knees, and I had to sort of tap out and say, no, there's something really wrong with me. And you feel like a total, loser. You feel like a loser. You feel like, a complete waste of a human being, because you can no longer do anything or do things for yourself. And one thing that I learned, and I mentioned this book probably in my very first scope of the month. It's called How to Be Sick. And I started reading this book, and it basically tells you that you need to have compassion for yourself. Other people should have compassion for you, but first and foremost, you need to have compassion for yourself. Yes, it is very true. And that was a brand new concept for me. I had never, I didn't even know that you could have compassion for yourself. I had no clue. I mean, talk about mind-blowing. And when I started reading this book, and reading all the techniques and all the different things that, hi Spike, welcome. All the different ways to learn to have compassion for yourself, I was just blown away. And for the first time, I said, you know what? I'm going to start doing this for myself, because nobody else is. I'm good, Spike. How are you doing? Good holiday, good 3-day holiday, right? Well, I don't know if you're in the United States. It was Memorial Day here yesterday. So, I see other people in my family who have illnesses. I have an uncle who is also chronically ill, who is just, he had cancer 15 years ago, and he's in remission, but he struggled with the aftermath of having radiation, multiple surgeries, chronic infections, just a constant battle for his health. Okay, you're in Canada. Okay. So he's constantly battling for his health, and one thing that I've noticed about him is that he does not have compassion for himself. He's extremely depressed because he can no longer, function the way he used to. And I think it kills him. He was a successful businessman. He lives in Mexico, but he made an amazing living. He had multiple houses, and he ended up losing everything when he got cancer. And then after that, he still has his own business. He was still able to start his own business and to be financially independent, but physically independent, he's had to sacrifice that, and it eats away at him, and a lot of that is because, like me, he was raised to be independent and driven and hard on himself. And even though he's, past retirement age, he's raised his kids, he's seen his, his grandkids are already grown, and he still seems to feel the need to push himself and to be a successful businessman. And it's like, you're at an age where you should be relaxing and enjoying, just taking it easy. And he can't, because he has no compassion for himself. And so that's something that I learned to do for myself, is to say, you know what, yes, I can't work, and there are certain things that I can't do for myself, but that's okay. Even if it's not okay with other people, it's okay with me. And I have to learn to to cut myself some slack. Yes, too much drive. And I was definitely one of those people. I actually haven't really talked about this. I graduated from Loyola Marymount University in 2006. I went to film school, and I was going to be a film director. I was going to work in the entertainment industry. I was going to be extremely driven, and it didn't work out that way. And my parents pushed me very hard. I was the first one in the family to go to a 4-year private university. I was the first one in the family to go to college, basically. So the bar was held very, very high for me. And unfortunately, I went from being, the golden child to being the disappointment and the disgrace of the family. Exactly, Xylo. It's just, you go from being the example to being, the disgrace. And, even though I complained about health issues for, years and years, that was not, the case for my family. It was just me being lazy. So I've learned to, on top of having compassion, I've learned to stop pushing myself so hard. Hi, Shadow Sleeper. Welcome. I've learned to stop pushing myself. If there's a day when I don't feel like going for my walk, I won't go for my walk. If there's a day when I don't feel like doing my stretches, I won't do my stretches. If I feel tired, I'll lay down. And before, I used to fight these things. I used to fight it and say, no, if you're tired, you need to go out and go for your walk. If you're in pain, you need to continue to do your stretches. If I'm feeling, depressed, no, I have to keep pushing through that. Don't cry. Don't be upset. Continue on with your day as if nothing is going on. And unfortunately, that's not good. So I've had to stop pushing myself and accept the fact that I can only do so much, and to also be gentle, gentle with my body and gentle with, my feelings. Yes, I found my balance. And, being chronically ill forces you to find your balance. Yes, Shadow Sleeper, and some people have that mentally, even people that are fully able-bodied and can physically do things, they still have mental issues that they don't, my sweet air hug, people that struggle with depression, or people that struggle with, anxiety, they tell themselves, no, like, you can't have this. How dare you have this? You need to push yourself. If you have social anxiety, no, you need to go out, and mingle with people and have a good time. Right. You push yourself, even if your body may not be capable of it, or you push yourself a little farther than you were really supposed to. So mentally and physically, you can push yourself a little too hard. Yes, you have to listen to your inner voice. And see, now you don't feel good because you overdid it. And that's what happens to me sometimes, where it's like, I'm supposed to do a 30-minute walk, but I usually do 40 to 45 minutes every day. And some days, I do too much. And the next day I'm sore and I'm in pain and I have to take something for the pain. And I knew I shouldn't have done that much time, but I did it anyways. Because I didn't want to feel like I couldn't, You don't want to feel like you can't do something. Also learning to love myself. A lot of us struggle with feelings of self-hatred. Well, mind over matter is, I think it only does so much, but when you do have an illness, when you know that you do have an illness, mind over matter can hurt you. Yes, mentally, I could probably go for a little run, but it's going to end up really hurting me. Hi, Rungata, welcome. Learning to love myself is something that, hi, Silosh, welcome, is something, again, another foreign concept. A lot of us struggle with self-hatred, or sort of just looking in the mirror and saying, oh, who is that, Hi, Silosh, how are you? And I did that a lot, especially when my marriage ended. I know, right? When my marriage ended, I dealt with a lot of criticism from my ex-husband, and that started, manifesting a self-hatred with myself. And, keep in mind, my ex-husband was mentally ill. He had a psychiatric condition. So his criticism wasn't, I don't think it was something genuine or real. Thank you, Shadow Sleeper, for inviting people. But it definitely got into my head and started to do a lot of things to me. And I started looking in the mirror and thinking, you're unattractive, you're ugly, you're useless, nobody's ever going to love you. And, I've had a couple more incidents since then that have magnified this for me. And I started to realize that, me having gone through that divorce, me being single, it has nothing to do with how desirable I am or how lovable I am or whatever. It has nothing to do with that. But it does have something to do with my own love of myself. And I've had to learn to start liking myself a little bit more. And that has been the hardest one. I think it's been easier for me to have compassion for myself than to have actual love for myself. And that's currently what I'm working on. Loving yourself is one of the most difficult things to do. And I think that's in general for everybody, not just people that are sick. So that's what I'm going through right now. And that's what I'm dealing with, is trying to find, this love and liking myself and telling myself that I am worthy and that I am someone that that deserves to be loved, but also deserves love from my own self. It's really, really tough. Resilience, I think, is another one. Learning to be resilient and learning to weather the storm and get through really, really tough moments. A few months ago, I got really, really sick to the point where I couldn't even use my phone. And, I thought to myself, this is it. I'm getting so sick to the point where I will no longer be able to do anything, even use my phone, which is the last thing that I can really use. I can't use a laptop. I can't watch TV. I can't, I can only use my phone, even for a limited time, limited amount of time. And I got to the point where I couldn't even use my phone. All of my symptoms, went through the roof. And I told myself, you'll be fine. You'll survive this. You'll get through it. And it took about a month, but, I survived it. Hi, Thrive Right. Welcome. So it taught me just to be resilient and to say, you know what, I can't use my phone. I can't, do any of that. So, read a magazine, read a book. You'll get through this hard time. Hi, how are you? You'll get through this, and I did. I eventually got through it. I ended up getting sick. I got like the flu and stuff, but I got through it, and I survived it. So I've become a little bit more resilient in that sense. Also, I think this goes back to compassion, is learning to be more forgiving of myself and others. I think learning to be more forgiving of others. I'm more forgiving of myself, but also looking at other people. Thank you for the hearts. Looking at other people that have criticized me, or people that don't believe that I have this illness, and just learning to say, you know what, they don't know any better. They don't, it's not that they're being mean. It's just that they don't understand. And learning to forgive that and to say, you know what, it's not something that they're doing to hurt me. One of the biggest lessons that I learned in forgiveness was with my ex-husband. And as I mentioned, he was very critical and very unsympathetic about my illness. When you're learning to love yourself, you have to accept your own flaws. Yes, you have to accept the things that are, quote unquote, wrong with you, or the things that you perceive as being flaws, which sometimes they may not be flaws. They're flaws to us, but not necessarily flaws to other people. But, I had a very, very difficult time with my ex-husband, and then he was diagnosed with a psychiatric condition. And granted, he turned my life upside down, but I learned to sort of forgive and say, you know what, he has his own struggle as well. Yes, and you're very fortunate. I have to tell you, you're extremely, extremely fortunate to have someone in your life that is understanding, because not all of us do. even if it's just one person in your life that is understanding. I have next to 0 people that are understanding. But just because other people aren't understanding of my condition doesn't mean that I shouldn't be understanding of theirs. And, like I said, my ex-husband basically turned my life upside down. I ended up losing my health insurance because he lost his job. I'm still dealing with a lot of the aftermath of my marriage with him, getting audited by the IRS, receiving bills for thousands of dollars because of something that he left off of our taxes, and having all of this stress on top of being ill. And obviously the first thing that you want to turn to is anger. And I was angry for a long time, but I had to open my eyes and realize that he is also sick, that he also suffers with a condition that is never going to leave him for the rest of his life. It's severely affecting him. He can't hold down a job. He's, all over the place, doesn't know what to do, basically. Hi, Turker, welcome. And I've seen him suffer with his condition. And I've learned to sort of step outside of myself and realize that other people have their own battles. And even if they hurt us, they're not hurting us intentionally. They just can't manage their own lives as well. And that was, I think, the hardest and the biggest lesson that I had to learn with him. And a lot of people never get that. There are people that are chronically ill, that will fight with their parents, that will fight with their spouse, that just have to make them understand how sick they are, and that have this urge to change the other person. And you can't change that other person, especially if they have their own battle that they're fighting. And I learned, I couldn't change him. He was very sick as well, and I had to walk away from that situation. But I also had to forgive him. I couldn't hold on to the anger that I had because, we lost our insurance because of him. I lost a medication because of him. I had to let go of that and say, what? It's not his fault. He has his own battle that he is fighting as well. And I've encountered other people too. I've encountered other people that have, quote unquote, hurt me, but they've hurt me unintentionally because they're dealing with their own issues. My mom is one of those people. She has her own mental issues that she refuses to deal with, and she hurts us, but she doesn't mean to do it. And I've really had to learn that. That's the hardest. That's sort of my next challenge, is to learn to find forgiveness and compassion for her. And actually for both of my parents and other people in my family that seem to not understand my illness. So my alarm is going off and the dog is barking, so I'm going to end this here. Today is the last day that I'm accepting donations through my YouCaring page. Please check it out, youcaring.com/Marisol has Lyme. Follow me on Twitter, hotsun100384. I also have a link to my YouTube, which will have all of my Periscope replays, and a link to my blog that is kind of my new project. And I will be probably taking a long break from Periscope, but I will be off and on whenever I get a chance. I'm going to try to do some book reviews for my YouTube channel, books that help with coping skills for chronic illness. So stay tuned for that. Thank you to everybody that was with me through these 31 days. It was really hard. This very end piece was really, really difficult. Really emotionally rough. A lot of people didn't catch my scope yesterday because I deleted it. It was really a tough one to get through. But thank you so much for the hearts, for the shares, for the shares on Twitter. I really appreciate it. Thank you for the donations through YouCaring. I appreciate everything, and a lot of people have said that they don't want me to stop doing this, and that really makes me feel good that this was of some use to somebody else besides me. So thank you guys so much. Happy Lyme Awareness Month, and hopefully I'll see you sometime soon. Thank you guys.